noise out there. So that's what I want to share with you today, right? Some of the ways to cut through all that and simplify that and do something once. Wouldn't that be great? So,
oh my God, only one time.
Only one time, right? Do something once and repurpose it, reuse it, use it everywhere, and make all those things actually happen, because it's kind of true. I hate to admit it, but you kind of got to be everywhere nowadays, right?
You do. You have to show up everywhere all the time.
All the time, right? And that's so much, it's so much stress that a lot of people paralyze and do nothing. So I'm going to show you the formula that we use to make that simpler. And then stick around to the end, because I'm going to share with you my 21 ninja tips. So if you're doing some of these things are going to amp you up and get you even more faster.
Awesome. We want more. We want it faster. We want it yesterday. Let's go.
That's right. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you and get this thing into presenter view so you don't see my weird screen. Oh, no, that's not what I want. I want to be in presentation view. How do I do that?
Play from start.
Play from start. Thank you. There you go.
There you go.
I'm getting like the millennial telling me what to do too over here. So
I'm not that young. Wow.
So we were just talking about not getting enough, right? And, and this is the thing, is like, I wonder, is there a secret formula? And this is exactly the path I took. And you know what I discovered? There's a whole lot of noise out there. And we're listening to a 1.3 billion. And this is a little old because this might be I think I updated it last month. So it changes every single day. 1.3 billion websites, 5 billion YouTube videos viewed. I mean, that is crazy numbers. And so, and that's daily. That's not even monthly. So, you talk about this, and we've got 50 million Facebook pages, and these are business Facebook pages, 3.5 billion new Google searches every day. So you think about that. It's like a crazy amount of noise for people finding us. But here's what I discovered. I'm on the wrong thing. There you go. Boop. 500,000 podcasts worldwide. That's a pretty small pool. So that's what I decided to start with. And that worked really well for us. And it's working for others. Others like, recognize this guy? I mean, seriously, like thinking about, he could have written another book. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy to think about it. It's like the Malcolm Gladwell and the tipping point is huge. He could have written another book, but you know what he did? He started a podcast because he found out that there was only 150,000 active podcasters. Like, that is absolutely crazy. And the industry is growing at 75% year over year. So how do we tap into that and still do all those other things? Well, that's the question that my clients ask me every day. And so we work with entrepreneurs and big brands, and everyone's asking the same question. And they're all starting to circulate around this idea of my voice and my face, video and audio works. And so that is really where we're dialing into. And we're getting to this place where I'm having trouble with, where Tom and I started this business, Feed Your Brand, Brandcasters. And so we've launched 3 podcasts. I'm an ink columnist, as Seth mentioned, and this is my partner, Tom, who, if you talk to us about brandcasting, you're going to talk to him. So I really wanted to make you aware of what he looks like. So we were on that marketing roller coaster just like you guys, right? We were going up and down and, getting too busy to post on Facebook, getting too busy to place our blog because we got some clients. And then because we didn't post on Facebook, because we didn't write a blog, we had less clients the next month. And it was crazy. And I guarantee you all have been in this place, and we were in it and going through it. And it was even worse for us because we were in a retail consumer product business. So that made fourth quarter of the year was boom. And first quarter, we were starving, literally unable to buy bread some months. It was crazy. So those things happen to every business. And so we said, what are we going to do? Because we got to get out of this. It's not working. It doesn't make sense. I can't do everything. What am I going to do? And so we decided we were going to test out this podcasting thing we heard about. And, it's almost exactly 3 years to the day that we started it. And we were able to do something incredible with it. We were able to find that we could create a massive audience fast. We went from a mail list of 0 to 25,000 listeners in 4 months. And now today we have 100,000. It's huge growth, right? And so we had this active audience, and we were like, oh, wow, this is absolutely amazing. Today we have 100,000 listeners per month on that original podcast. And it's been the easiest way for us to do that because all we had to do was speak. It got us to South by Southwest, in which we were invited to speak there. You were kind of juried in, and we were invited to speak there this past March. So it's gotten us a lot of really big things. And this is us podcasting Feed Your Brand, which is our podcast for people who are digital marketing and brand casting. So make sure to subscribe to that as well for more information. But there's a secret formula to it, because we didn't just podcast. And that's really what I want to share with you today. We didn't just do that because it's not enough, because today we have to get more. But we also want to make this effortless. We want to make this something that we're not going to stop doing and then end up back on that marketing roller coaster again. So that's what I'm going to share to you. It's really 3 components, 3 ingredients into this formula, and we're going to share with you. But I want to do a little bit of quick definition of it to understand what it's building for you. It's going to build a platform. Okay, not that kind of platform, but that's what I kind of thought a platform was. But you probably deal with this all the time, Seth, because authors have to have a platform. That's what publishers ask for when you're trying to go for the big publishing contracts, right? What's your platform? Influencer asked, what's your platform? And it really means how many people do you have following you? How many people do you have access to? What that really is. And so it's also, though, what attracts people to you. So this is how we define platform. Your original message from your profit platform. It's the way that people are relating to you and being drawn to you, right? It's your stage. And so what are all that components of those stage that's giving you your ability to be on your, if it's small, it's a soapbox. If it's big, it's like this, right? So you've got this idea that it needs to be big, but it doesn't. It just needs to be relevant. It just needs to draw people to you. And what it really should do is do a lot of this work for you, right? Thinking about all this crazy content and all these things I'm supposed to do. I know you're stressed. I promise you, we're demystifying it through this process here. But this is the crazy things that we all look like. So if your platform's not helping you do this, then it's actually not getting you off the roller coaster, because you still have those have-tos and should-dos, and I got to post and I got to do this. And so we want to remove those in the process. We want the process to be, in a way, semi-automated, but we need it to start so that people are drawn into you. So that's how we look at this. So down in the bottom corners, there's audio and there's a video player. That's all that you should be caring about and doing. The system, the rest of it, the influence, the social media, the website, the promotions, and the content should all be coming straight out of that. And when we dialed into that, that's how we found that secret formula. We found that way to make marketing easier for ourselves and for eventually all of our clients. And so here we go. We're going to go right into what those 3 components are. And those 3 components are web rank power, influencer drafts, and being your own media. And now I know you guys are going, I thought you were going to talk podcasting and you're talking websites and influence and media, but they're all tied together. Just listen. It's all about getting Google to rank your blog. And I know that just sounds like counterintuitive, but the reality is that 80% of our listenership, 80% of our traffic comes from Google. It doesn't come from iTunes. So our podcast is more powerful because we blog it. And we don't have to recreate the content because the content's already there. It's just like Seth's program where you've already created the book because you had a podcast, right? So you're repurposing that content, and that's hugely powerful. And we want to really keep that, because the biggest authority right now lies with Google. And why is that? It's because if you look at the conversion rates, and this is based on other people's conversion rates, not mine personally, but this is the conversion rates that are posted up there. Social media has about a 1.3% average conversion rate. And it's so low, not because people aren't listening, people aren't there, and it has nothing to do with how many listeners you have or viewers you have or followers and fans. It has to do with the fact that their algorithm is controlling that only a percentage of those followers get to see what you put out. So that's where conversion ends up much, much lower. On top of that, though, Google has a 13%. They're 10x already. So why wouldn't we do something that's already working? And why wouldn't we, thinking about it this way, if we're pushing out a social post, right? We're telling people we're here. Do they really care? Are they really listening? But on Google, they're searching. And you're coming up. So they're already in the market for something, and or already worried about something and already looking for solutions for something. So that's why the conversion rate is higher. It has nothing to do with, marketing power and all of those types of things. So this is why getting our website right is so critically important. So here's a good example of how that works and how that would look like for your brand. You want to have a standout brand strategy. That's why we call it brand casting. So the woman on the with the drink on my right is a wedding planner. And she needs to stand out with 20,000 LA wedding planners. And if you typed LA wedding planner into Google, you're going to get 33 million results. How is she going to stand out about the big wedding planners? Because there are some big ones in LA who do celebrity weddings and stuff. How do you compete against them? How do you compete against the ones that are placing ads? Well, the only way to do that is to be on that first page in Google and search for that. And the fastest way to do that is to have constant and consistent content, but also make sure it's relevant. So she developed a fabulous brand here where she was dishing on what went wrong at a wedding. And the last thing you want to have happen is something to go wrong. And isn't that fun to listen to anyway? So brilliant strategy gets her on the first page of Google every single time. And so that's really where you want to look at it is, are you going to draw in the right people from your brand strategy and attract them right off that first page of Google against the ads and against those top players? Because you can. 55% of small businesses have a blog. These are LinkedIn's numbers. 84% spent more than 3 hours creating a blog. If it took me that long to write my articles, I would never get any work done. And I'm sure there's a lot of you who have been out there writing blogs and doing that. But here's really even the scarier statistic. The average blog post length that people write are 500 to 700 words. But the best length, the length that Google rewards, is a 2,500 word minimum. So can you write that in 3 hours? No, probably take you 6. So it's really crazy how that can do. But you know what I can do? I can speak about 6,000 words in 45 minutes. So I can easily hit that limit with half that. So that's really why speaking is such a powerhouse. So we have a 3D print podcast, as you know, and there's a blog that's associated with it. And we have 525 posts on there that we've done in the last 3 years. And we did them all by speaking, all by having our blog post formula, which is transcribed, rewritten, leading paragraphs, great images going on it. All of those things are done in an automated system, or I should say there are real people behind it, but it's automated for me. All I do is do the speaking part. And when that happens, though, I have an average across all of those of over 3,200 words each. That's amazing. Now, some of them are 6,000 to 10,000 words because we get really excited about a subject, and some are shorter, but your average is way over it. And that's why we have 80% of our power, and our clients have 80% of their power coming from Google to finding them. Ken Courtwright is a good friend of mine and a partner with us, and they do 1,000 revenue generating websites. And the ones that have podcasts and audio transcriptions done on them have a 32% boost from Google. They are higher than their others that have just written blogs. So it has to be consistent, it has to be constant. But other than that, it's going to work for itself. So let's move on to that second part of it, because now that you've got I'm speaking this and it's really powerful and it's going to give me Google power. Now I want to have some influence, right? I want to have some authority. I want to have some power with that. And so I discovered this and I call it the Travolta problem. I got to interview John Travolta because I have my column, right? Isn't that great? Shouldn't it be fantastic that you have a celebrity and fantastic people? You know what? The higher the speaker, sometimes the more valuable the celebrity, sometimes the less they share your information for you. And Seth's nodding away over there because you know it's true. And it's so you think, oh, they have a PR firm and they have a team and they actually invited me to interview him because they wanted more digital connections, but they just wanted that link back. They didn't want to share me. They didn't want to share the great article I wrote. They didn't want to do any of that. So it's not about how big a celebrity is. It's about how much backlink power, how much influence they're going to get, how much they're going to draw an audience to you. And so that's what we look for. We look for influencers we can draft off of and bring their audience to us. We look for a long-term relationship that we can build and a personality match, because that also matters. So we really want people who are like our people are take action. That's why Seth and I are such good matches, right? We're take action people. We want stuff to work. We don't want to do more work. And so when we have that, then I know that the people who are on Seth's list and the people who he's talking to and his clients and my clients, they're going to be a better match for each other. That's a great influencers draft. And that's really what we look for. But still, people are busy. Seth's busy, I'm busy. We're really busy. And sometimes we forget to even tell our team that we have this stuff. And so we invented one more thing that's really great. Our system and our whole system that we do, we invented follow-up. And we call this ego bait. Okay, because David Corbin, when this is said about him, doesn't he want to share that on social media? Doesn't he want to put it in his blog post? And we take it one step further and we give him the code. So all he really has to do is just forward this to his web developer and say, add this to my post, add this to my press page, add this to my site. He wants to do it. There's a Feed Your Brand number 5 on this page. If you want to hear all about ego bait, there's a whole podcast on it. Make sure you go to episode number 5 and you'll get that. It's named ego bait, so you can't miss it. But these kinds of things, graphics and follow-up, if you're not doing these things, you're really not getting the power of it. This just happened to me. A big publication called me for comment on an article, and it ended up that I was like a third of her article. I found it by getting a Google search back. It just told me, oh, hey, you were featured in this article. They never sent me back a follow-up telling me that I was linked in this post. So I didn't have an opportunity to push it out and share it with my social media. So even big publications miss out on this and don't do it. And I can tell you, it happens with my in column all the time. Sometimes it takes me a week to remind people that I featured them. And they'll get back to me and say, you didn't send me the link. And I was like, yeah, I was traveling. So it does happen all the time. So if you can do something that boosts this, we found that this really increased the sharing and the posting tremendously. And it works later when you repost. You remind them. They're happy to share that again. So now let's talk about this, how you can be your own PR, how you can be your own media, and who has more authority power. So who do you think had more authority power in that Inc. article? Was it, when I wrote it, was it me? Or was it John Travolta? Is it Oprah when she interviews someone, or her celebrity? The media, the host, has more authority power because my viewers, my listeners, my readers chose me. Who I put on as a guest, they might like them or they might not, but they chose me. And so that has more tremendous power. But you can even take that further, and you can use that power to create your own promos. And this be awesome. So you've got this media platform, and why should you advertise for other people when you're going to be advertising for your own stuff, your own designs in this particular case? So we ran a test a couple of years ago. This was early on in our podcast when we really only had 25,000 listeners. And we ran a test to see if someone would give us their email information, but their mailing information, and let us send this 3D printed cup holder. Sleeve.
We're talking about the purple thing around the Starbucks.
The purple
right?
thing around the Starbucks cup, right? We 3D printed that, right? It's 3D printed. And so we put the ad on 4 episodes, which each had 1,000 podcast plays. And it got 500 plus requests. And then people asked us and said, I have a 3D printer. Can I have the file? So we put it up on another site. We let them download the file. And the next month we got 1,000 downloads. If you total that up, that's a 37.5% conversion rate. We tested the action orientedness of our membership by doing that. And so we do that all the time and lots of our podcasters do it to advertise for their own events, their book launches. Do you want to really get that book out there and you want to get those free downloads and making that Amazon bestseller list? You've got an active audience who chose you. So use that media power for your own purposes. You can use it to promote JV partnerships. So there's a whole lot of things you can do, but you can use that media like a VIP pass. First off, if you get big enough and they can see that power, they will give you free passes to events. It happens all the time, right? But you can get speaking engagements from that. You can get book deals. In fact, I'm in negotiations with one right now. So you can do all of these things because you have created a media platform for yourself. And remember, that's what we said the big power is. So you can do it the hard way. You can do all of these things and try all of these little things in your piece, or you can just get faster about it and use one thing as the jumping off point to do all of the other things. So what I'm going to invite you to do, if that's okay with you, I'm going to invite you to have a call with us. So brandcastingu.com/MD for market domination doctor and invite you to have a call about what that looks like. Because we have a semi-automated system that is very simple, that keeps you doing the thing that's brilliantly you, right? Keeps you in that audio and video creation and topics and making connections. It keeps you in doing that, but builds that influence, your social media, your website, and your promotion, and it does that all through constant and consistent content. So we want you to invite you to have what that looks like. But of course, I want to go ahead and give you ninja tips, because if you're already podcasting, if you're already blogging, if you're already doing those things, you can incorporate some of the things that we do. And pretty much, I think I'm going to say, go on out on a limb. If there's something that's not that, as I go through the 21 steps, I'll let you know, 21 tips, I'll let you know. But I think we do all of these for our clients. They don't know we do it, but we do it, or we advise them to do it. And so as I go through them, but each one of these things has exponential power to and growing and magnifying the things you're already doing, all of that work you're already doing. So you ready to go on?
I am ready. Let's get to the 21.
Okay. Binge listening. Podcasters binge listen. People binge watch. We know that on Netflix. We know that. So if you are not designing the episodes, if you're not designing your content and how you push it out for binge listening, you're making a big mistake. Other thing that you don't realize, and this is where podcasts come in brilliantly, that there are podfasters out there. There are people who listen to things on double speed because they want to massively consume the education very, very quickly because they're in a hurry to learn something. And so a fabulous way, there isn't any other media. You can't really watch videos on 2-speed. It's not really conducive, but you can listen to podcasts, and I don't sound like a chipmunk. And so that is another reason why you want to have a library of information and let them binge listen and pod fast to that. Get your face off your podcast and your cover art and your whole things, unless you're actually a celebrity, unless you're a sharkpreneur, right? Unless you're really at that level. The only thing that this does is it doesn't show people why they should tune into you, what you're going to give them. And in the early days of something, it needs to be all about the listener, the audience. What benefit am I going to get? Not who are you? And so this is my early urge. Switch up your cover art. You'd be surprised at the traction level. I'd say that you're going to see probably a 40 to 60% boost immediately difference with boosting your podcast or your video show if you switch that up right now. Get yourself on TuneIn. This is so easy. Amazon Alexa, voice recognition, all of this stuff is the future. When you're on Google Play, you're already there. Amazon Alexa, its players called TuneIn. So if you're already podcasting, you better be on TuneIn, because there are much fewer podcasts. And it is because of our relationship with TuneIn that we were invited to South by Southwest. And so this is a real key, because who doesn't want to listen to podcasts while they're washing dishes? I do it all the time. Content strategy. I talked about diversifying. I talked about really mixing it up and repurposing. You are wasting content. I guarantee you. I have clients who call me and said, oh, I have 800 videos. What did you do with those videos? Oh, they're just on YouTube. What about blog posting them? What about stripping off the audio? You don't have to do any more work if you already have a library of live streams. If you already have, I had someone who came who had a whole saved archive of Periscope videos. Like, you can do that. You don't have to do new work, because it's not old to your audience. It might be old to you, but it is not old to the new person who's finding you, and they want to consume all of it and hear your brilliance. So that is the best way for you to save time for the impact, the big things that you can do, the topics, the critical things that will build your business today. Be wordy. Talk as fast as I am. Yeah, that's okay. I know New Yorkers do it all the time, right? And that's okay. It is good to be wordy. The longer you can go, the better. So this is actually about the length of your podcast, if you're podcasting, or the length of your videos. Now, people have a much shorter attention span on video than they do on podcast, and that's because of that 2x thing that happens on podcasts. Podcasts of a solo or even a co-host situation, 20 minutes for a solo episode is perfectly fine. 30 minutes is good too. But if you're doing an interview, it at least needs to be about 45 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to cut it short. And when you think about that, that's 22 and a half minutes on 2-speed. So it's about the perfect length. So when you do that, though, you're building a long enough blog post. So that's critically important as well. We play word games. A lot of you hear about this keyword searching, Google Analytics, like all of this stuff are places in which you want to play. You want to be in the place where people are searching, not the words that, you come up with the industry terms, right? You want to be in their words. So we always think about that, and we make sure that if we're throwing out words like additive manufacturing, we're also saying 3D printing, and we're also saying, different words that would make sense to them. And if you need to, write them down so you don't forget to do that. And that's how we do that. Step number 8. Oh, this is crazy. The speed feed. That's gonna, yep, there it goes. This is slow compared to how most people scroll through that. How does it look? Doesn't it look like you've been there, done that, heard that post before? It's like a duplicate. We don't want that. We want our audios to be mixed up. Oop, it's not going on. There we go. We want our visuals to be mixed up, because when we mix up color, text, and shape, people stop and say, I didn't hear that before. I didn't listen to that before. I get branding. I'm a big brand proponent, but this is not the place to brand it. Content is not the place to do that. And if you want people to stop and listen to you on Facebook, stop and watch your video, give it different cover art, give it a different image that gives them a reason to stop and watch it. Again, Ego Bait, go check that one out. Measurements. Oh my gosh, how many people don't measure things? So here's something that we have that's really, really cool on our podcast host server. We have the measurement of how your website is doing too. No host out there has it. We built that in because that website traffic matters. We get a lot of people who quit podcasting because the podcast metrics didn't seem big enough. They couldn't see the impact, but what they were missing was they weren't seeing the impact it was having on their website and the web traffic and what that was leading to them. And we have clients who come from searching us on Google, finding our blog posts, and coming straight to us. We know that this makes us money every single day. So measure it. And we see pretty much on average, I'd say, Tom, 30% traffic improvement within 3 months. Yeah, 30% traffic improvement within 3 months. So another thing is keep it simple. Don't forget your word language. Your word choice needs to be the lexicon that your client speaks, not yours speak. Stop the acronyms. Announcer. Get a professional announcer. Spend a little money on Fiverr. For us, we just do that for our clients. When we set up their podcast, we give them a professional announcer. It should not be your voice. Your voice is not the voice. You want to have an authority voice, an authority type voice introducing you so that you can stay in your media authority. Make sure you switch that up. And there's a whole thing on music I didn't put in here as a tip, but go to one of our episodes because music is a problem too. Your podcast titles are the most important thing. Podcast titles and blog titles should be 2 different things. So we always start with a short part of it. That is the only thing that you see on iTunes. And we have a much longer title. So it would say whatever it is, and then it would have a colon, and then it would have the rest. And so we do that because iTunes truncates. And so you want to have good podcast titles that are drawing them in. And my number 1 recommendation here is put your guest at the end, not at the beginning, unless they are the reason to join in. Here's some things for you videocasters out there. Zoom. Zoom lets you record everything. It lets you have double tracks. Make sure you're recording everything you do. There's no reason not to. They already strip off the audio for you. They give you the audio track. You've got everything you need to be successful. It's happening there. If you're doing Facebook Lives and you want to do something, you can use something like Ecamm and LiveLeap, and you don't even have to actually be live doing it. So there's some really great tools out there. Check into them and use them, because they're very powerful in being able to repurpose content. Replays. Okay, don't do replays. We tried it. We had lots of nasty messages from our core listeners. It annoys and pisses off your listeners. So don't do that on a podcast, but you can completely reshare and reuse and repurpose in another way. You can create summaries. You can create, you could do an update episode where you maybe use a portion of it and then you update on what's new. Those are great ways to repurpose it. But if you run out of time and you say, oh, I'm just going to run replays, it doesn't work like reruns and TV. So just don't do that. But remember back to that binge listening and binge watching, right? People love series. They love seasons of things. So there's no reason for you not to do a whole section of shows that's 25 episodes. Maybe it's the 25 chapters of your book and you release it in its own entirety. And speaking of that, the real reason that that's powerful is because when somebody searches for you on iTunes for one of your podcasts, they'll find all the other series. So we do this, especially when we hit 525 episodes, we lost the first 225 because iTunes only plays the most recent 300. So you have to put them in an old volume because they're perfectly great. People want to binge listen and go back from the beginning. So make sure you do that. Make sure you have a series. And in our hosting, we're able to do that automatically for you. So we're able to push those series off so that you can keep your current. You never want to lose your current because that's where all your subscribers are. You don't want to start a new podcast. You want to push them off into an older series. Best-selling author versus podcast host, which to come first? I know Seth is a big believer in audio first and making it from a podcast. So we are too. But if you want to go and plan deeper, you can. You can set out an editorial plan to push that all out and do the content in a certain order and build your book from that. So go ahead and do that. It's very, very powerful either way you go. Open loop content. I did this at the beginning to you, right? I told you you stayed tuned for my 21 tips. I would be sure not to disappoint you. I make sure you got actionable information. That's open looping. You want to keep people listening to the end of your podcast, not for the promo. That's there, of course, but you want to give them a reason to come to the end. Oh, please. I know that this is like a big thing. Money suck. There's a big money suck going on in lots of parts of this Blog Talk Radio, but it is more than a money suck that's happening. It is also an authority suck, which sucks money away from your core business. If you are on a platform that is not just a directory, but is actually posting your posts and doing all those things, it's stealing your authority. Watch out for those. Really look carefully and make sure that they are not listing you and on Google, because if they're posting your post, they're taking your Google authority from you. So you want someone who's not going to do that for you. You want someone where it's you and you own it on your website. We never do that with our clients, by the way. So how do we make some money? How do we capitalize? How do we get 10X and 100X? Well, remember that coffee sleeve? Remember that promo that we did? There was no money attached to that, right? There wasn't anything. And I had mentioned to you, we put it on 4 episodes, which each had 1,000 listeners. What if I told you that you could immediately do it across your entire library? So my entire library that's available has 100,000 listeners. What if I could put that ad on every single one and capture every one of those 100,000 listeners? Because 60 to 80% of your traffic might come from your back episodes, from your what you think of as your library, your old episodes. But remember, people are starting at the beginning and binge listening. So how can you capture that? Well, the only way to capture that is through our system called Podetize, which is our hosting platform, which allows you to take an ad if you're going to place it. You can place it on a single episode, 1,000 plays, or you can place it on that and get 100 to 1,000X. So that's really my Go Ninja Get More tips for you guys. That makes it really easy for you to do all of these things. So if, again, now you're just even more overwhelmed because those 21 tips are like, I want all of that, have a call with us. Have a call with Tom. We invite you to do that because this is really easy entry. It's fast. We start podcasts in, depending on how far along in it, maybe you've already started some things, 7 days to 30 days. It's not hard to get going and getting yourself off that marketing roller coaster. So do we have time for some questions?
We have a few minutes for questions. Okay. I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to ask some because I've got a few.
Okay. Did I stop the share properly?
Why would you? Oh, yes. You stopped the share.
I want to make sure I'm here so I can see the chat window.
Okay. All right. There we go. So because we're moving our whole network of shows to you, yes, could we then take two and up until this point, let's say there were dozens and dozens of shows that didn't have the traditional traction required for advertising. They didn't have the tens of thousands of listeners, but they do on your platform. Can I give you ads and it will automatically insert across not just my show, but every show that's on our master account?
Because you're a producer, it's a little bit more complicated. We have to insert them into each show separately, but yes, it can absolutely.
It can happen. Okay.
It can be, and we're going to be building in that automated. This is the section we're really working on. So we're going to be able to make that automated for producers. We're really concentrating on making sure the producers have a lot of power to be able to do what they want to do just like that.
That is awesome. Number 2, you talked a couple times about binge listening and how do we make our content binge worthy? How do we get it so that people will want to consume multiple episodes in a row?
So good. That's really, really good question. I think that what I found is that you make it very edutaining. That's what I call it. And it's like, there's always something educational. Like I find the ones that aren't binge listenable, the ones where you sort of skip around on the episodes are the ones where they're just interviewing celebrities and it's the same thing again and again. It's like the origin story and that's all that it's about, or, or it's like the one challenge. So then you'll skip around to the ones that you think are most relevant to you. The ones who might be in your industry or other things like that. But if you're always providing very educational things for the things that I want to learn, for the things that I care about, then I am more likely to binge listen to this.
Got it. All right, I've got another one. You mentioned TuneIn, Amazon Alexa Player. How do we get our stuff to show up on TuneIn? I hadn't even heard of that.
So Seth, all of your shows will be, because we automatically do every single one of the ones available, including trying to get you on Spotify and iHeart, which they're picky and they vet you. So, but you can get on them. We have many shows that actually are on all of those. So yeah, we automatically do it for us, but it's free to get on any one of those. So you just have to go get a little TuneIn account that's free and register your show as a producer.
That is awesome. Okay. Those were, you had mentioned re-airing segments, like old stuff is a series, is a separate thing to move stuff over. Could I do that with not my new stuff that's airing now, but stuff that's like, let's say if I'm in episode 350, could I just go back and say, like, let's take episodes 250 to 300?
Yeah,
or does
absolutely.
It have to be episode 1 to 50?
No. You can pick, we did this
match
for a client. It's their classics, the ones that they knew had the top listens.
So it's like,
we
let's
made
make a playlist separately almost.
For them.
Awesome. All right. I don't want to take up all the time. Those were my questions. Let's see here. Do we have any questions in the chat? I can't see Facebook. Do we have any questions in the chat box?
I'm not seeing any here, but how's Facebook? Is there chats are there questions in Facebook, guys? Nope. We haven't got any questions. Guys,
all right. Well, shame on them.
Yeah.
I think they're just so overwhelmed with all of the amazing content. They can't think of questions at the moment.
It's like, right. No, but this is what I promise you. Have a call with us because it's easy. This is easy. We will make this easy for you. Oh, what is the name of our company again? Brandcasters, and our website is brandcastingyou.com, and the podcast that you can listen to is called Feed Your Brand. Yeah, Alexandra's typing it in right now. There you go. Put in Feed Your Brand too, please.
And if you want to call Tammy, it's brandcastingyou.com/MD for market domination.
That's right. Please make a call. And so, yeah, we will help you figure out. We'll strategize with you. So this is one of the things that we really pride ourselves. We're not just a hosting service like that just is like, let's get as many podcasters on as possible. No, we want you to be successful. We want you to be active. And we pride ourselves on the people that are actively podcasting and how we can support them and keep them going and grow their business and do something more. And that's what we want to give you every single day. So we have strategy calls with our clients every month. We have one-on-ones if they need it. We handhold.
We greatly appreciate it. Tracy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing all of that amazing content. We greatly appreciate it. And we will make sure to share the video and the replay and everything else. Yes, Tammy, yes, there will be a replay. We will be replaying it for people who couldn't make it or people who came on late. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Seth, and thank you all for listening.